asking this. I'm just getting to see how it all unfolds, like not just an athletes.
Good morning.
You must have done this.
Welcome everyone to the World Athletics Indoor Championships Glasgow 24. This is the 19th edition of the World Championships and the first Global Track and Field Championships to be held here in Scotland. For today's press conference, we are joined by the President of World Athletics, Seb Coe, Glasgow City Council leader, Susan Aitken, and our two athlete ambassadors, the Glasgow 2024 athlete ambassador, Ailey Doyle, and World Athletics ambassador, David Rudisha. As time is short and we have to get off here in an hour and get through both these press conferences, I will hand over to Seb in just 1 second. But if I could just ask you to raise your hand when you want to ask a question, we'll come to you. And when the volunteer brings the microphone, if you can state your name and your publication. Thank you, Seb. I will leave the floor to you.
Jamie, thank you. Am I using this or is it that one? Always technically challenged. Thanks for being here this morning. I don't know about you, but I'm very excited to be in Glasgow again. Susan, thank you for hosting us so graciously here. Glasgow has a great record of helping us stage our championships, and I'm delighted to be joined on the stage by Ailey and David. And there's probably no place I can start in my observations this morning, and if you will bear with me for a moment. It was really only a few days ago I was with David and Jackson Tuohy, General Tuohy, the president of the Kenyan Federation, who is over here, to mourn but also celebrate the life of an extraordinary young athlete in Kelvin Kiptum. I don't think I was fully prepared for the enormity of that day and what it said very much about the family of world athletics and particularly about the strength and passion in Kenya. It was extraordinary to see athletes 3-4 generations deep paying their tributes. And I'd like to thank Jackson particularly as president of the Kenyan Federation. We talk about, we all probably think from time to time we have challenging weeks and fortnights. I can't think of anybody that went through a tougher period than Jackson, who with military precision managed to stage and organize a state funeral in less than a week and a half, and with such a beautiful atmosphere and a fitting tribute. So Jackson, thank you, and David, thank you for leading the athletes in the tribute that day. Look, we're here. There are 131 countries. We've got well over 600 athletes. Everywhere you look on the program, you've got something to be excited about. Indoors is interesting for me because you've got the specialist athletes, you've got those like me that used to use it to keep in shape physically and mentally during the course of the winter months. But they both, whichever camp you come from, everybody is going to be making judgments and making adjustments to training and schedules and events in the lead up to Paris. That is, of course, the centerpiece of this year, and that in itself is exciting. We've had 3 days of council meetings, one executive board, 2 council meetings, 2 big decisions were made here. One is that we're taking the 2027 World Championships to Beijing. That's an important marketplace for us. And it's worth reflecting, I guess, about the vibrancy and economic strength of the sport, that the last 4 editions have effectively been staged in the 4 strongest global economies in the world. We have a lot of cities wanting to stage our championships. We have conversations all the time about fresh input, resource, income, thoughts and ideas. We welcome those, particularly in this phase of innovation and transition. We have an innovation team that you have probably noticed are coming up with some interesting, thoughtful, bordering on the controversial. We welcome that as well. You know, they're talking about us, as they say, and that's an interesting element. We had other big judgments and decisions that were made, and clearly the green light to continue work on our 2026 event, which I've spoken to some of you about, which is a really important it's a really important junction in our sport. But you've probably heard enough from me already. I'm really happy to take any questions, but I'm delighted you're here. I'm delighted the athletes are here, and I'm really, really respectful of the fact that so many world-class athletes have decided to come here. We've got big teams, and many of those athletes that are going to be vying for podium positions in July in Paris are in this stadium. We've got a cluster of world record holders, a bunch of the champions from Budapest, and a whole heap of of Olympic champions from Tokyo. So the sport's in good shape, and I know that we're in very safe hands here, Susan. So thank you to the Scottish Government, to all the agencies out here that are going to make this the success I know it will be. Thank you. Back to you, Jamie.
Thank you, Seb. So we will open to the floor for questions. If you would like to raise your hand. Thank you.
Yeah, Jonathan Galt here from Let'sRun.com. Question for Seb. Italian media reported that Rome withdrew from the bidding process for the 2027 Worlds because the Italian government wouldn't guarantee the cost of hosting the meet. I'm curious how many cities were bidding for that event, and how much have the costs of hosting limited the candidate pool, if at all?
I don't think it's about the cost of hosting. I think it's about the complexity of political systems around the world. Look, I know this, it is inevitable in a sport of over 200 federations. You're going to have different systems, and sometimes it takes longer in some systems than others. Whether or not the Italian government were not prepared to, it was just simply about the time frame. We had to make a decision. We've got 3 years, 7 months to deliver a world championship. It seems to me about the right period of time. And Rome was a very strong bid. We had other cities that declared more than an interest. The evaluation panel has been busy on the road for the last year making those judgments, and Beijing prevailed, and it's a very, very strong bid. It's in a market that we need to be in. You've got 1.4 billion people. It's a very, very strong, growing sports market. And we also have a number of our events in China in the next couple of years. So, yeah, it's important. But we've also had a lot of cities that have already declared an interest in 29, 31, and even 2030 to 2033.
David Woods with Dystat in the USA over here. The indoor schedule is rather small, as World Athletics contemplated expanding the number of events for the indoor championships.
Yeah, I would like to see more indoor running. It's a personal preference. I know it's something that the innovation team have looked at. I think it's a great entree to my sport. I actually had 2 or 3 people with me that had never been to a track event, outdoors or indoors, that were with me at the Melrose Games just a couple of weekends ago in New York. They were excited, enchanted by it. I think indoors has a great role to play. It brings the crowds, particularly younger spectators, up front and close to the athletes. There's a passion. I think indoors is good. Our World Indoor Tour this year has been as good as it's ever been. We've had great broadcast numbers. We had 3 world records alone at Melrose, and the final one in the series in Madrid, I know, was equally successful. Raul, the president of the Spanish Federation, was taking me through that the other day. I'd like to see more indoor racing, because I think it's actually, it extends the amount of events that we have, and I think it's exciting and interesting.
We'll go to Mark.
Hey Josh, how are you?
We'll go to Mark, and then we'll ask Susan to come up and say a few words.
Seb, quite a parochial Scottish question. You'll have seen Guy Learmonth having a go at not being selected by UK Athletics for this event, when obviously he was on the road to Glasgow rankings of World Athletics. You've got host spots available under your terms of reference for the selection. Is it good for the sport? Is it good for fans that an audience misses out on seeing home athletes when they could be seeing them?
Look, I got asked I get asked a similar question on every single occasion about selection policy. I don't enter into the primacy of a member federation to make a judgment. Yeah, we have invitations, but the primacy must always sit with the selection policy of a federation. UK athletics didn't get it wrong in Budapest. Came back with a whole crop of athletes. But look, I'm always going to say this, aren't I, that I want to see the best athletes. I'm less concerned about numbers. I just want to see the best athletes competing where it's possible.
Councillor.
Good morning, everyone. I'll just speak to you from here. It's my job this morning to officially give you a warm Scottish welcome to Glasgow and to wish you all the best in your endeavours in giving visibility and coverage to this incredible event over the next few days, and also to return the thanks of Seb to World Athletics for once again putting their faith in Glasgow to host this event. We are delighted and we're very honoured. Many of you may have been to Glasgow before. We have an existing association with athletics. This very venue hosted the European Indoor Championships in 2019, and of course we had our Commonwealth Games in 2014. This is our first World Athletics event though in the city, and while you're here I hope you get the opportunity to enjoy the famous Glasgow hospitality and Glasgow welcome. If it is your first time in the city, please do take advantage of that while you're here. And I suppose I just want to thank all of you for being here in such numbers as well. When we host events in Glasgow, we always do so with an eye on legacy, on using the opportunity to use our world-class venues such as this arena to inspire the young people, particularly of this city, and to use the power of sport and physical activity to make a difference to people's lives and to improve people's lives in this city. And your role in the media and giving that visibility and promoting the event has a big role to play in that. So thank you for doing that. You're very much a partner in the success of the event. And my final point is to say that this event would not happen and would not be successful without our 500 fantastic volunteers who are here to make sure that it all goes as smoothly as possible for everyone who is part of the event, whether they're athletes or spectators or indeed you from the press corps. So if any of you at any point have a question or you're a bit lost or you're wondering where to go, then look for someone in Lilac. There are a few round about us. Ask them your question and they'll be able to help you out. But please do enjoy the next few days. Enjoy Glasgow and please tell everyone what a fantastic city we are and what a fantastic host we are for world-class sporting events. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your kind hospitality. Rick, you have a question.
Yeah, Rick Broadbent from The Times. Seb, I just wonder what your thoughts were on this enhanced games stuff, and do you think there should be any, what sort of repercussions do you see or do you think should happen because of it?
Well, it's bollocks, isn't it? Really. I mean, I can't really get excited about it, There's only one message, and that is if anybody is moronic enough to feel that they want to take part in that, and they are from the traditional philosophical end of our sport, they'll get banned, and they'll get banned for a long time. So, hey, I'm sure there are crazy things happening in other sectors. We occasionally get them. So, no, I mean, I really don't get sleepless nights over it. It's not going to be a page turner, is it?
Okay, thank you. Next question.
Thank you. Question for Seb. Anderson Emerald here. Over here, Seb. Seb.
Yeah, thank you.
Anderson Emerald here. I'm curious about some of the new implementations of things that World Athletics has been doing, whether it's like the long jump or even like the end of the World Championships being the end of the season. How much input and discussion do you have with like the athletes when you do make these changes? Or is it like athletes have 50% input, or is it like they give some input and then someone makes a final decision? What are the conversations?
No, athletes are a key and core stakeholder, aren't they? We have an athletes commission. I mean, a big chunk of our council meeting was devoted to these types of discussions. Val Adams, Matt Hughes were leading on those. They've got outreach programs. We speak to the athletes all the time. And yeah, of course we'll be guided by what they're thinking. And, I was an athlete myself. I wanted to have input into that, and we welcome that. And look, I think it's really important. Our sport is 150 years old. There are elements of it you are absolutely wanting to protect. They're sacrosanct. There is stuff there that just leaves people a little cold. And we did a lot of research off the back of the Budapest Games. We did it in stadium. We did it with people watching at home. And we're still harvesting. We're still understanding that. But they're telling us some quite key things. And if you look at field events, I'm not anti-field events. We're trying to do everything we can to make sure that the sport moves ahead in both elements at the same pace. But there's a lot of downtime. 31% of all long jumps are failed attempts. Now, I'm not saying that is the only remedy, and it's one of a raft of changes, but we're not going to back off innovation here. It's really important. We have a responsibility to future-proof the sport, to continue to create the landscape, financially particularly. We've just recruited some world-class businesses in the last few weeks. World-class businesses do not routinely want to join enterprises that they think are going in the wrong direction. The very fact that we're having conversations every day of the week with hedge funds, with venture capitalists, with organizations that want to put fresh resource into our sport is comforting. It tells us that the landscape we've created, both in integrity and reforms and with the financial viability of the sport, I welcome those all the time. But it is going to change. It has to. We can't just sit. The holy grail of every sport is to remain salient, interesting, exciting to young people. We're not going to frame the sport entirely around them, but we can't have a tin ear in their direction. We have to recognize that the way people consume sport, the way they consume entertainment is different than it was even 3 years ago. And we have to move with that.
Thank you. Sean at the back.
Again, question for David Rudisha, or two questions for David Rudisha. First of all, David, about this World Championships, are there any athletes that you're particularly looking forward to seeing? And secondly, on the enhanced games, I'm sure you agree with Seb, but how would you feel if someone ran and broke quote unquote your world record? It wouldn't be legitimate in any way, would it?
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm really excited, to be here as an ambassador. Indoor games, indoor events is one of its kind. It's something that I missed in my career, but I've been following and watching the athletes competing, and yes, I'm looking forward for tomorrow. It's going to be an exciting day. We have the 100 meters, which is one of the races that we are all actually excited to watch, and we have big names, good athletes participating in. Of course, also supporting Omanyala from Africa, who is Africa Commonwealth champion, Africa record holder. It's very rare sometimes to have these sprints, especially coming from Africa. And we are also looking forward to have like big names like Noah Lyle, with the other athlete competing. So it's one of my exciting race to watch tomorrow. Of course, 400 is also a very good event, because it's 2 laps, even though this is a short track. But since I am an 800 meter, I love to watch sometimes when they're just doing 2 laps. I think it's because 2 laps have been running in my mind all over the years, and I just like to watch. It's just like 800 to me.
Nothing's like 800.
One quick question from me to Ailey. Back in Glasgow, obviously you will have great memories from Glasgow 2014. Can you give us some thoughts on what it's like to have a global athletics event in Glasgow?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think 10 years ago when we hosted the Commonwealth Games, I think that really put Glasgow and Scotland on the map for being a city and a country that can host a major sporting event successfully. And we've had so many events since then. But yeah, to have an actual global world championships here is just incredible. And I've been on the other side of it this time round. I've been, in the steering group and sort of seeing everything that goes on to put championships on, and it's quite breathtaking. You maybe don't appreciate as much as an athlete. So I'm just delighted that everybody's here. They can see what Scotland can do, and we've got world-class athletes that have all shown up for it as well. So it's just going to be an amazing 3 days, and I'm really excited I can be this side of it now and just watching.
Thank you. Any further questions from the floor?
Martin Ross, from Sport Business. A question for Seb. You mentioned potential investment there. Where are those discussions? Would you look to set up some kind of commercial entity, and is Saudi's public investment fund among those discussions, among the parties you're talking to?
Yeah, there are some global discussions going on, and I'm comforted by that, and so they should be. We made a strategic decision to grow the sport organically. We felt there were income streams that we could tap into. The 26th event, which is, coming along really well, that I think will make a huge difference. It allows us to have a global event, a world championship every year. One of the council decisions that we took just a couple of days ago was to finish our season with a world championship. That's going to reconfigure stuff. The world championships will move a little bit later into September. That allows us to get Diamond League and other events that we're working on. So yeah, those conversations are taking place at a global level, and they're taking place on pretty much every continent too.
Okay, we are going to now swap out for the athletes. So if you can just give us a couple of minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm good. I was trying to ask you a question.
Oh, yeah?
I was. They didn't give me the mic. They knew not to give me the mic.
Grant, do you want to ask it now?
No, I'm not.
Sure? Too late? Okay. Okay, thank you so much. No, I won't stop. Okay, Grant. I won't stop, but come back.
I'm here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second part of this official press conference ahead of the World Athletics Indoor Championships Glasgow 24. We are very honored to be here with Femke Bol. Thank you for coming, Femke. I know you have a very busy schedule. Femke, you've just improved her world indoor 400-meter record. Congratulations. We also have Grant Holloway of the USA, who's also broken a world indoor record of his own, I think, not so long ago. And as far as world records go, we also have Devin Charlton, who just set a world indoor record in the 60-meter hurdles earlier this month. Josh Kerr, representing GB. You've set a world indoor best at 2 miles, but you're running here in the 3K, if I'm right? And the defending high jump world indoor champion, Yaroslava Mahuchik of Ukraine. Can we have a round of applause for these athletes? Thank you. I'm going to start with you, Femke. As I said, you have a very busy schedule ahead, so thank you for being here. You must be really excited at the weekend ahead. And as I said, you've just improved on your own world indoor record, so I guess training has been going really well. Can you tell us a little bit more about how training has gone since Budapest and until now?
Yeah, training has gone pretty well. I'm happy with how I'm competing, how the races are going, how training's going. We didn't change a lot. I mean, it's going well the last few years. We know what we're doing. Every year you work on something else. This year we tried to work on the speed a bit, and I could see now indoors already that this is working. So we're just I'm happy to be training. I'm starting to miss my hurdles a bit because I'm not doing them indoors too much, but I'm also really enjoying to run the 400, and it's always a really nice race.
And actually, I was going to ask about the hurdles, because obviously you're running 400 flat because there are no 400-meter hurdles indoors. But can we say that the hurdles is still your number one priority going into Paris, or maybe not?
Yeah, it still is, and it's also my favorite event. So I must say I also love to do 400 indoor. I love to do relay races, but my hurdles are what I like to do the most and what I focus on outdoors.
In Belgrade 2 years ago, if I'm correct, I think you came home with 2 silver medals, right? One individual in the individual 400 and one in the 4x4. Is it safe to say that you want more this time around?
I think we always want more. But yeah, I really enjoyed Belgrade. I'm always proud that I get to go home with 2 medals at every championship I go, because we have such a strong relay team. And this year again, with Lieke also going into this tournament as the number 2, it's really crazy for our country. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to racing. It's indoors. You never know what happens. It's a lot of races and you get together. It's like more 800, you know, you really race against each other. So it's fun and we will see. I'll try my best.
Thank you, Femke, and good luck. Jaroslava, I'm going to move over to you. You are the defending world indoor champion, right? You did win in Budapest, right? But people tend to forget that you're only just 22 years of age. How do you cope with the pressure, or is there any pressure at this young age with so many titles already?
Sometimes I forgot that I'm only 22, really. I think that I have a lot of experience and that I'm eldest athlete, but I don't think about pressure because it's my passion, high jump, and my coach every time says that you do that you like, so you should enjoy, and that's all.
And obviously high jump is a very technical, and tactical event, right? So you spend a lot of time in the infield. How do you plan, tactics? I mean, when do you make decisions on where to pass, where to jump, where to rest? How does it work?
Yeah, really, it's really technical event. So this year we changed a little bit my runway. So, and the 2 competition of the season showed that it's a good result, really. And of course, if you see my competition before attempts, I line. So I'm relaxed and focusing on my jumps. And we discuss with my coach after every jump, my mistakes, maybe my technical, and decided what we do next.
We've seen in recent years a few occasions where some athletes have had to share gold medals. So it happened in Tokyo in the high jump. It happened in Budapest in the women's pole vault. And it did happen world indoors in the high jump not so long ago, if I'm not wrong. How would you feel if you were in a position where you had to share gold medals?
We have a good relationship with girls in track, so I think it's really great friendly position to share the gold medal, of course, if it's possible.
Thanks, Jaroslava. We'll open up to questions a little bit later, but if I can move on to Devin Charlton. Thank you, Devin, for being here. I saw you've been practicing this morning. What does the track feel like?
The track feels really good. I know it's a new surface, and so I was just really excited to get on there and feel it out before the competition, and can't wait to get going.
And as I said in my intro not so long ago, you set a world indoor record of your own. I mean, some of you know what it feels like to break a world record, whether indoors or outdoors, but I don't think most of us know. Can you tell us what it feels like to break a world record? What was it like, that race?
For me, it felt pretty normal. It felt like a just regular race. I knew it was fast just because the field was so excellent that was assembled at Millrose, and so to come away with a win from those ladies, you have to be doing something phenomenal, and so that's the only way I knew it was a fast race. And then the time came up, and I'm just almost couldn't believe it.
Okay, well, if breaking a world record feels normal, we hope you're going to break another one this weekend. Obviously, it's an Olympic year this year, and I guess for all of you, Paris is one of the main objectives. But before we go to the Olympic Games, there's the World Relays in the Bahamas, in your home soil, hometown, Nassau. I know you're a sprint hurdler, but are you planning on being there, competing with the 4x1 maybe? I know Bahamas have a really strong relay tradition.
Yeah, so I'm already committed myself to being in the pool, and so looking forward to running there. I know we've hosted a few times in the past, and I've always had obligations to my university, and so could never compete, and so I'm excited for this to be the first time.
Great, can't wait. I'm going to move on to Grant. Obviously, you know what it feels to break a world record. And you've set one not so long ago. But if you had to be completely honest with us, do you think there is still room for improvement? And if so, where?
I think there's always room for improvement, especially with the hurdles. You can always pinpoint where you can get a point, a millisecond from, or maybe it's the start with a reaction, or maybe it's the lean at the line, or just accelerations through each zone. But I'm in great shape right now. I think the sky's the limit. I mean, I went out to Albuquerque. I ran stress-free. I was telling Josh on the bus, like, he asked me why I didn't run the final, and I said a joke. I said I have more world titles than USA titles, and that goes to say that every world championship I was able to achieve, I don't have to try out to the team because I have the bye. So it was just one of the things where it's just like, I continue to put myself in these successful situations, and, I'm able to reap the benefits from it.
So am I correct in saying you broke the world indoor record 3 times?
Twice. Well, it's your world. I'm just living in it.
Okay.
You can say 3.
And but you never broken it outdoors, right?
No, I'm still a sneeze away.
So what are we waiting for?
I'm just waiting on the right moment. I need a little bit more fans in the stands. I need a little bit more pressure. I think where I'm at in my career, that too. I feel like I've solidified myself as, as one of the best sprint hurdlers. I think, of course, we always ask the question, like, we want more, we want more, we want more. But I think sometimes, not just myself, but, everybody as a whole, we fail to realize that we more so remember championships than records. We always leave the term records are meant to be broken. And, that's the case. And for me, it's as long as I go out there, compete, and I'm able to, give it 110%, win, lose, or draw, I can live with it.
Talking about championships and global events, is Paris one you want to remember for the rest of your life?
Yeah, Paris is definitely one. Obviously, Tokyo is special because that was my first Olympic medal, but I think we're too far ahead for Paris right now. We got to live in the moment. We're in Glasgow right now. We have World Indoor Championships here in the next couple of days, so I say we continue to make this the focal point, and whatever happens here, it'll be great, and then we'll go back to the drawing boards. A little bit more work to do, and then we have to obviously go through the season. We have April, we have May, we have June. Obviously, all of us have to go make our team. I don't know if everybody has to go make a team, but I know I have to go make my team. So, we have to stay focused at the task at hand. I think sometimes as individuals, we lose sight of, what we have in front of us, and we start thinking about the future instead of just living in the present.
Very wise words. Thank you, Grant. Josh, last but definitely not least, I think we're all very excited to be here in Glasgow, but probably not as much as you are, right? Competing on home soil. Probably lots of family members coming around.
It was difficult to get tickets, I'm not going to lie. I think that would be the worst part of waiting so long, trying to figure out what my decision was. But yeah, I think, I grew up racing here. I probably raced in the Emirates or in Glasgow overall probably 50 or 60 times coming through from Edinburgh. But yeah, this place is going to be absolutely electric. I think it has an amazing balance between getting enough people in here, but also feeling like it's a small stadium where everyone feels like they're on top of you, and I think it's going to be so loud and amazing. And I think I don't think anyone puts on a running event like the UK does. So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
So which of your family members will be around?
My parents, my brother, I think my nephews are coming. My grandparents aren't going to quite make it out, but they've been sitting watching the news and excited to watch it on TV. So, yeah.
Amazing. Josh, is it fair to say that your life has changed since your world title in Budapest last summer? Maybe not, but how do you manage to keep grounded and focus on your targets ahead?
Yeah, I mean, lots of things have changed, but it's mostly my perspective on my own abilities and what, my body's capable of. For me, I think our sport is the most humbling sport in the world, where, I think I struggled with it a little bit after the Olympics, where, I got a bit carried away with just thinking, the work was being done and I can kind of just ride the wave for a while. But yeah, when you get back to training and things are just like normal. So yeah, I think just putting my head down and knowing that some amazing experiences were coming up in the future, and I was just mostly focused on that. And I knew that if I had done the right stuff coming through the winter, that as long as I didn't push the training too hard, that I'd be in a great position for Glasgow and for running fast indoors. So, that's come together pretty well for me.
So you've made the decision to compete in the 3,000 here in Glasgow, right? Why not the 15?
I think over the years I've realized that I need to get stronger. I've only ran I've run one 3K and one 2 mile in my professional career, and both of them were wins and reasonably quick. So, I think I've got some untapped potential in the 3K. My 5K is horrible, actually, probably one of the worst in the world. But I'm trying to get better at that, and I'm trying to focus on some of the things that maybe I haven't done well in the past, and hopefully that will bring me through the 3 rounds of the 1500 in the Olympics. So that's the plan. And I think spend a little bit more time in the stadium, a couple more laps around with this crowd, I think will be a bit of fun. Yeah.
Thank you, Josh. So I've run out of questions. So does anybody have a question from the floor? Yes, I think this gentleman here has. Okay, go there then. You'll be next. No worries.
Thanks so much. Raman Bardwaj from STV. A couple of questions for Josh. Josh, the first one you kind of touched upon, but I just wanted to get a bit more on what does it mean to you to compete in a global event in your own country, and what do you hope the Games will do for athletics in Scotland?
Yeah, I think it's massively important. I think Ailey touched on it before, obviously in 2014 with Glasgow, and look, I think we've had a lot of events here, and I think London in 2012 made a huge impact on the sport and the youth and inspiring that next generation. And I think it's Scotland's turn to have that, and being able to have world-class athletes from every country in the world come over here and just show off their skills and being able to sit right there and watch it, I think makes a massive difference. And I think we all know that growing up, we'll be able to pinpoint small parts of our childhood being like, that was the thing that inspired me. And I think hopefully that's I think they've done a fantastic job getting everyone excited in this city and getting this place bouncing for a really massive championships, and the athletes have turned up as well. So as long as we give access and the content's correct, and we're going to go and do our job with the racing and the jumping and competing and everything. So yeah, I hope that you're going to see that this generation coming through, and maybe in 5-10 years time being like, this was the championships that really kick-started my love for the sport. Because I do think, especially for us home athletes, like, this makes such a huge difference for us. And we have some amazing athletes, and it's a slightly smaller group than we've had, but it packs a punch, and everyone's a medal contender, and they know that if anyone's got a GB vest on, they're going to be ready to go out and try and medal for their country.
Thank you, Josh. The gentleman here with the blue top. Thank you.
Good afternoon. NOS Netherlands. You didn't give us the rule that everything should be in English, but I presume...
Well, I speak 4 languages, but I don't speak Dutch. So if you could do it in English, you would do me a big favor.
Okay, we'll try.
Thank you.
Femke, the story of the guys on the podium is a bit different. Josh is using this as a preparation, doing a different event, and Grant said this is the main event for now. How do you rate this tournament in a big Olympic season? Is it a fancy training, or is it the main goal?
Well, it's not a fancy training. I mean, it's the main goal. The moment that we choose to do indoors, this is always what we look to while we're training in a preparation period. But then when we choose to do it, it's really important. And especially now, one day before tournament, it's, of course, really big for you. The biggest is, of course, Olympics this year, but I think it's always great to race. It's always great to get also new experience from tournaments and see how you're doing. So, yeah, it's pretty important.
Thank you. The lady in the front here. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe from the Olympic channel. So, Grant, I'm going to be talking about the Olympics, about Paris. So, despite what you just said, we are starting to release details. This is a question for all of you. We're starting to release details about the medals, like there's a piece of the Eiffel Tower in there and things like that. So I'm just wondering, for each of you individually, do you like to look at that kind of content to, even though some of you may not have qualified for your teams yet, do you like looking at that sort of information, or do you just push everything to do with Paris aside so you can focus on the now? Start with you, Femke.
I mean, it's always nice to see the medals. It's something I like to see. It's not something I will look for, like look on Google or something, but if you see it on Instagram or something, it's always nice to see whether you're training now for World Indoors or not. It's one of the biggest events coming up, so of course it's always exciting to see stuff about it.
I have to say I agree with Femke. I think it's just one of the things that I don't want to speak for everybody, but I just think it's just as athletes, it's you guys' jobs to kind of promote the event, and it's our jobs kind of to put on the event, if that kind of makes sense. So I'm indecisive about it.
I'd say I'd like to see stuff like that. As much of a competitor as I am, I'm also a fan of the sport and sports in general, and so I like to see that kind of content, and also looking at the medals just gives me something to aim for.
Yeah, I love the storyline with the medals. I think, there was a great storyline in Tokyo, and I think that sounds like a fantastic storyline for us as athletes. But again, we focus on the process, and then that's kind of the award at the end of things. So yeah, I'm more focus driven for the actual competing, and then afterwards we can enjoy those benefits.
I think the guys say it all. I agree with them. Of course, our work is focused on competition, show the results, but sometimes it's really great to see the contact in social media. It's really great to see these medals, and maybe someday we will take it and see in real life.
Okay, there are a lot of questions, and I only have 10 minutes. So
y'all gotta start paying some pounds if you're gonna talk to us.
Grant,
you know what I'm saying?
Grant, you pick one.
Oh, I gotta pick somebody?
Yeah, pick one.
Who wants it? Who wants it? How bad? That man waving his hand. Look, you see how bad he want? He want to wave his hand.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. I'll follow you, Grant.
This is for Femke.
And he even asked me a question. Hey, take the mic away. How you gonna? I gave you.
Okay,
I gave you a chance. I gave you a chance. You ain't even gonna ask me a question.
You were the leadoff man, and you handed the baton to Femke.
No. I'm the end guy. We're trying to wrap this up, and you're never gonna ask me the question.
He can answer for me.
No, it's your show. I'm just look. It's his.
Okay, let's get this question.
Femke, what's your relationship with Sydney McLaughlin, and is it feasible for you to run as many as 4 events at the Olympics? 400 hurdles flat and 2 relays. Is that even feasible?
We're in everything right now.
What means feasible exactly? Is it
4 races at the Olympics? Is it feasible to do 4 hurdles, 4x4, mixed 4x4?
No, it's not on my plan to do all of this. It's a lot. So no, and my relationship with Sydney is good. I mean, I love competing against her, so I hope to see her on the hurdles this year.
Okay, Femke gets to pick the next question, so hands up.
You.
Can we have a microphone at the front, please?
Kermit from the Bahamas Athletics. My question is for Devon. I want to give one more try at what it means to set a world record. You would have been, now you're not a third out of 3. I think Shawnee has the record in the 300. Stephen Gardner has a record, I think, also. What does it mean to you as a Bahamian to run a world record? And also the region of the Caribbean is also celebrating with the Bahamas with your world record. So if I could get you to give one more attempt at that.
Yeah, so again, setting the record, like it really felt normal. I have nothing else to say about it on that regard, but just the reception I've received afterwards, especially from the ladies that were in the race, like you said, what it means for the Caribbean. They were the first to embrace me, the Jamaican ladies. And so that moment just kind of warmed my heart, and just seeing the reception I've gotten from the Bahamas and the world, and honestly, all of my competitors it's been really amazing.
Okay, Devon, you get to pick the next question.
Who has a question for Grant?
Ah, good move. Oh, there's many. Oh, Tara, hi.
Put the pressure on somebody.
Who did you pick? The young lady, yes.
My name is Maya. I'm here on the Media Development Programme. And yes, I have a question for Grant. So we know you have a huge fan base and you have a huge personality. And we want to know, you like to joke around and do playful things. So what are some of the things you might have coming up this season? Kind of how do you prepare for it? And what's the message you're trying to give off when you do these things?
So, most people know me as an easygoing guy. I mean, if you look at my social media, literally it's Twitter. It's X. But at the top of the thing right before you tweet, it says, what's on your mind? So, like, literally, I might say something completely off the wall. I might say something inspirational. I might say something about job. Like, that's just who I am as a person. I think for athletics, we always try to put on this face as in, like, I got it all figured out. This is who I am. But if you really, wanted to get to know me, like, this is how I hold myself. I think just going towards these championships is just continuing just to, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess to continue just to add on the resume. Since 2019, I've came on the scene and kind of just forced my way into the position that I'm in. I remember in 2019, I was a I even graduated from the University of Florida. I was a student at the University of Florida, and I remember at one point I had $42 to my name, and I was like, track and field is going to be my way out. And then now that I made it out, I'm going to work 10 times, maybe 20 times as hard just to make sure I can keep it. And that's kind of like the way I just hold myself in society. I say what I have to say. I deal with the repercussions, and my team and I work hard to, just to try to keep this position that I'm in.
Okay, Josh, do you want to pick the next one? Next question?
Yeah, sure. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, there are a lot.
One of you two is fine.
One of you two. So, rock, paper, scissors. How does it work?
Well, my question was for Josh, so that would probably work.
There you
go. Josh, just wondering, there was that debate about whether to come here. How did your conversations go with Denny? Was there much arguments, I guess? And who was saying what?
No, there was no arguments. I think the conversation had to be, the training had to come, more easily than it normally does indoors. And for me, it normally takes a little bit more time to build up into these events. And the short track sometimes isn't the most beneficial on my knees and my hips and everything. So, just making sure that the body wasn't fighting the training. I didn't want to give up the opportunity to go out and try and win another Olympic medal because I was forcing my hand to be here at Home Championships was his point of view. For me, I obviously wanted to be here, and that meant I had to be extremely regimented in everything that I did to make sure that I could show that I was in a great position. So no arguments. Maybe if he said no, then there might have been an argument, but we had to go out, run that world record, lead, whatever you want to say it is, and then take that next stepping stone, which is be here and compete and get ready to win. So, yeah, that was the conversation.
Okay, I think I have time for one last question. Yaroslava, do you want to pick it or shall I? Can we have a microphone?
Thank you. Okay, question for Josh. I'm Norwegian media, so the question is about Jakob Ingebrigtsen, who is not here. He recently stated in an interview that he could have beaten you blindfolded. And I'm wondering how you feel about that statement, and how do you feel about him not being here?
Choose your words wisely. I'm telling you, that two statement, look, it gets you out of everything.
No comment.
Okay, I guess the very last question there, because it was really good, quick answer. Very, very last, very quick. Otherwise, I'm going to get killed here. The lady at the back, please don't kill me. Please.
It's a question for Josh again. Josh, obviously what happened last year,
sets you in really good stead for this summer to get that gold medal that you clearly want. But how much does it add a weight of expectation? Do you feel the target's on your back going into Paris?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think there's a lot more external noise with obviously my goal setting and everything. But, internally, this has always been the goal. This is always the athlete that I thought I was. And, maybe I hadn't proved that enough in 2021, and maybe I hadn't proved that enough to external. But internally and within my team, this was always the goal and this was always the level. So, yeah, it's getting a bit louder, but, change your phone number and no one knows who you are. So that's what I do, and I focus on myself and make sure that I can compete at the highest level when the stage is right. So yeah, I'm very excited, and nothing's really changed for me other than making sure that we're really focused on that main goal.
Thank you, everyone. I'm really sorry I couldn't take all the questions, but the athletes have to go training. Thanks, Femke. Thanks, Grant, Devon, Josh, and Yaroslava. Yes, we're going to do a picture. Give us just a second. We're going to do it on this side because we have to dismantle this. Thank you, everyone, and good luck.